Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now February 7th of 2024, and given that there's a lot of things happening right now with all divisions across the board over at Disney, two of which are in shambles completely. We know that Lucasfilm and Marvel Studios are not looking good for this year, let alone for 2025, which is going to be full of expensive failures. We all know it, and they all know it. This is all common knowledge at this point in time. Now, everything revolving around Deadpool 3 and all the drama happening behind the scenes with this film and the battle between the creators and the Disney heads are still an ongoing issue that is really pressing the MCU for July of this year with the release date window of Deadpool 3. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So one thing I really have to say about Ryan Reynolds is that he is at the very least a passionate creator that really wants to defend his work, and that's why he's taking a stand against Disney. I always like to compare him somewhat to Henry Cavill, one of the very few actors that are willing to stand up for the fans, the source material, and to really attempt to get things done his way. And Ryan's been going through a lot of wins and losses here against Disney, and what's really interesting has a lot to do with his ongoing battle with the gender-swapped and the race-swapped versions of the X-Men characters. Let's get into all of this, shall we? Now, with Deadpool 3, as you all know, it is going to meddle with the multiverse. It's going to meddle with other aspects of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that has been introduced in recent years. But what's interesting about all of this further has a lot to do with Ryan Reynolds' big win against Disney. Now, with the Deadpool 3 drama only getting worse for both the creators and the Disney heads, one major development has much to do with Ryan Reynolds and his stand against Disney in the ongoing fight to save Deadpool 3. One crucial update to the ongoing struggles involves how recently Reynolds teamed up with writers Rhett, Reese, and Paul Wernick, as well as director Shawn Levy, where they all engaged recently in a remote meeting that involved serious heated arguments over the third act of the film. As it turns out, after multiple negotiations that Ryan and crew had with Disney, they got them to finally cave to cancel and ban the gender-swapped versions and race-swapped versions of the X-Men characters from the classic comics and films by Fox that were going to be reimagined versions of the characters like Magneto, Cyclops, Sabretooth, Nightcrawler, and more that would be all female versions of the characters to enter into the planned reshoots. Ryan recently took a long look over the plans that were introduced by both Bob Iger and Kevin Feige over this introduction of DEI into the third act of Deadpool 3, and it turned into a troubling argument between the entire creative team and the heads of both Disney and Marvel Studios. Now, Ryan was able to put a full ban on the gender-swapped versions of the X-Men characters. Recent updates that came in regarding this issue are worse than we initially thought, as the plan by Disney was to not only have these versions of the X-Men characters to defeat Wolverine in a battle, but to also best Deadpool in a group fight against Wade Wilson unmasked in one of the final scenes before the credits would roll. Other characters of the X-Men were also classic characters that were not just gender-swapped, but also race-swapped in combination, something that Disney executives were pushing for the third act of Deadpool 3 through reshoots. And though reshoots are still planned, and Ryan and crew are still attempting to have and save many portions of Deadpool 3, they still have many ongoing battles to win against Disney. This was the big win for Ryan, getting something done his way to ban gender and race-swapped characters in the third Deadpool film. In addition to this, Hugh Jackman also stepped in alongside Ryan Reynolds and decided to defend the film to ensure it will be the best MCU movie in recent years. The major win for Ryan recently was that he and director Shawn Levy got full creative control over the latest Deadpool trailer cut to introduce the film at the Super Bowl at last minute, as the trailer was rushed to begin the marketing campaign for the movie ahead of its July release date window. Bob Iger is the one who caved to Ryan's demands of banning the swapped X-Men characters. However, it's creatively, of course, more and creating more tensions now behind the scenes with the creatives and Kevin Feige over, of course, how Marvel producer Kevin Feige is actively attempting to change Bob Iger's mind to reinstate those characters in one way or another. Now guys, before I move on here, this is another living example that Bob Iger is by far, in my opinion, the worst producer to ever take control over Marvel. I mean, ever since he took over, I think it's been a slow decline over time, especially within the past 3 years. And look, yeah, sure, he's been attached to some successes, let's not forget about that, but we also have to acknowledge that Kevin Feige is like the Marvel version of Kathleen Kennedy. I always like to compare the two as equal in many various ways. I mean, you got Kathleen Kennedy pushing her nonsense onto Star Wars, and you got Kevin Feige doing the same exact thing. Ironically, you know, when you look at those two producers, you know, they are very dear friends. They have met up with each other multiple times and influenced each other on how things should be done with Marvel and or Star Wars. Heck, Kathleen Kennedy even offered Kevin Feige a actual Star Wars producing gig and or directing gig, and that also fell apart. But when you look at Bob Iger, this is another living example that he wants to push DEI at any cost that he can. It doesn't matter until they hit rock bottom and they hit a major roadblock where the creatives take a large stand and are not going to budge, and that's exactly what Ryan did, so props to him. Now moving onwards, this is Feige's desperate attempt to get what he wants in the third Deadpool film, and it's impacting the business relationship between Ryan and Kevin already. Other swapped characters that were banned from the film's reshoots were also versions of Juggernaut and Pyro in the mix as well, that were going to fight against Deadpool. Reynolds and crew were completely, of course, in a state of panic, essentially, that threw them into this entire fit, as they requested a full re-edit of the trailer days ago. So this is why I think the trailer is going to be pretty well put together, because you got people like Ryan and Shawn Levy calling the shots on what tidbits from what they shot would be inserted into the trailer and or the teaser at the Super Bowl. Now, from what we heard, it's going to be a teaser at the Super Bowl followed by a full-length trailer to be available online shortly after, within like 5 minutes, and give or take. And I think it's a good marketing move, but will it save the film at the end of the day? Regardless if Disney, you know, screws it up big time, a trailer is not going to save a movie no matter what you do. But it can very well improve the marketing. We all know that. So at the very least, I think Ryan has a big win on that. It's a good start. It's one step in the right direction. The fact that Disney not only caved to banning those characters, but to also allowing Shawn and Ryan to really call the shots and make all these requests and demands to the trailer company that Disney hired to edit this trailer together for the Super Bowl, and what will be available online shortly after. So again, like I say, guys, I would love to hear what you all have to say about this ongoing situation between Ryan Reynolds and the Disney heads, and how Kevin Feige is now getting involved in all these tensions because of what Ryan requested Disney to cave to. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.